If you're looking for the antidote for the six-figure slump, then today's episode is just what the doctor ordered. Welcome to the Bringing Business to Retail podcast, where I, Selena Knight, share strategies, interview retail revolutionaries, and delve into the minds of e-commerce experts to help you grow a profitable, independent retail or e-commerce business. If you're stuck in a rut, or if you feel like business is way harder than it should be, or you've overachieved all of the things that you've set out to and are wondering what to do next, or how do I even make this better? I know that you're going to love today's episode. If you're stuck in a rut, feel like business is way harder than it should be, or you've achieved all of the things that you set out to and are wondering what next, or how do I even make this better? Then I know that you're going to love today's episode. Hey there, Selena Knight here, the retail strategist, and thank you so much for joining me here on today's episode. When you first start out in business, your big goal is to be a six-figure business owner. It can seem so far away. Turning over $100,000 really isn't going to make you a lot of money. If you're running your own business, then if you get to pocket 10% of that, then you're pretty much at industry standard. So realistically, that $10,000, especially if we're talking $10,000 a year on $100,000 revenue, it just isn't enough. So you guys quickly realize that, and you realize that you've got to get into that seven-figure mark to make a decent amount of money for yourself. So it doesn't take very long before seven figures becomes your business goal. If you're like most retailers who are struggling to crack that seven-figure mark, if you've been struggling to hit the $1 million in revenue, you might be overlooking these simple business practices and not even realize it. See, a lot of you are trying to grow your retail or e-commerce stores by just putting in more hours. And the biggest misconception out there is thinking that the only way to scale your store is through sheer grit and determination and hustle. But all that causes is for you to work harder only to keep you stuck where you are right now. And guys, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. You can only hustle so far. There comes a point where you hit the law of diminishing returns. And if you're not familiar with that term, I remember back to my economics days, the law of diminishing returns. If you're not familiar with that term, it's where you move less and less forward despite putting in more and more effort. So you put in more and more effort, but you don't go as far. And if you continue to do the same things that got you to where you are right now, then you're not going to see the results that you want, and you're not going to crack that seven-figure mark. In fact, it's going to seem more and more like a pipe dream, and this can lead you into a downward spiral, feeling like you're putting this effort in and you're not getting anywhere fast. And if you're in this six-figure slump, well, the good news is there are warning signs that you can look out for. And in today's episode, I'm going to share those warning signs with you, what they look like, and how you can avoid them so that hitting seven figures can become a reality. And what I love most about these warning signs is that when you know what to look for, then conquering these hurdles actually doesn't even need to be expensive. It just means you have to step up. You have to take responsibility for your business. You know that I like to say you've got to step up and be a retail CEO. I mean, action is great. You need to do things to move your business forward. But if you are doing the wrong things, or if you're putting your attention and your energy and your money and your resources into the things that aren't going to move your business forward because they're safe and they're comfortable, then you aren't going to hit that next level. So let's jump in and look at what these warning signs are and what they look like. Now, the businesses that are at that next level, and for you guys who are in this six-figure slump, the people who are at seven figures, these are the things that they're doing. First off, they're regularly looking at their business and assessing which part of the business is holding them back. And then they're putting the resources in to strengthen that pillar. Weak pillars will always hold you back. Over and over again, I see this. People just avoiding the things that they don't like doing and hoping that they're just going to go away. But avoiding them is like not going to the dentist when you've got a toothache. And I mean, I know that feeling because I am terrified of the dentist. And just recently, I had to have a root canal because I'd put off going to the dentist because it freaks me out so much. But maybe if I'd gone earlier, I wouldn't have had to go through the pain and the stress. And trust me, I literally get freaked out so badly by the dentist that you can imagine having a root canal for somebody who has severe dental phobia, what that must feel like. Maybe if I'd gone earlier, I wouldn't have had to put myself through that. But no, I just avoided it. I just sat in my comfort zone hoping it would go away. But it didn't. In fact, it made it even worse. It just festers away until the problem is so big, it feels unconquerable. And working out which pillar you need to focus on isn't hard. In fact, I've got a free resource that you can use. It's a little quiz that you can take, and in just a couple of minutes, it will show you which pillar you need to be focusing on. You can take that quiz over at selinaknight.com/quiz. And of course, I'll pop a link into the show notes. And in just a few minutes, answering some really fun questions, you'll find out where you need to be focusing on. You'll find out what is holding you back, and you'll also get my free retail growth blueprint, which outlines the steps that you can start taking to work on that pillar straight away. So I probably didn't put a warning sign in there, did I? The warning sign that you are not doing this is quite simply you don't know what to focus on. You are putting so much time and effort in. Your to-do list gets longer and longer every single day. You feel like you're working more and more and more hours, but at the end of the day, you feel like you've gotten nothing done. So if that is you, then that is the first warning sign that you are in the six-figure slump. And the simple, easy step that you can take is to go and do that quiz over at selinaknight.com/quiz and work out which pillar you need to be focusing on. Okay, the next warning sign is tracking. Now, I don't mean your shipping tracking. I mean metrics tracking. If you are not tracking and analyzing and reviewing your key metrics, this is a warning sign. Successful seven-figure businesses know what their average order value is. They know what their conversion rate is. They know how many people are coming to their website or into their stores. They know what their profit margins are. They know what their customer lifetime value is. And if you've been avoiding tracking metrics because you're a bit scared about what they might reveal, maybe you won't be as successful as you are, maybe you aren't making as much money as you think you might be, fear should not hold you back in tracking how your business is going. In fact, if you've ever heard of Pearson's Law, it's that things that are tracked and measured and analyzed improve. But even better, when you not only track and analyze and review, but when you report to somebody what those stats are, then your metrics improve exponentially. So the simple antidote here is to spend a little bit of time creating those key metrics and tracking them in your business and then reporting them back to somebody. Because let's think about this logically. If you aren't tracking this stuff, how do you know what's working? How do you know what to do more of? Or how do you know what's not working and what to do less of to take your energy and your money and your resources away from if it's not converting for you? How do you know who to give sales training to if you're not looking at what your average order value is from all of your team members? And where do you start tweaking your website if you're not looking at conversion rates and abandoned cart rates? And ignoring this stuff doesn't grow your business. And the longer that you continue to ignore this, the longer that it takes for you to put that time aside in your business every week or every month to look at these metrics, the longer it's going to take for you to hit that magical seven-figure mark. Okay, now on to the next warning sign. And I kind of just touched on it briefly just a minute ago. My next warning sign that you are stuck in the six-figure slump is that you have no one else to turn to. Now, this can show up in a couple of different ways. First off, you literally have no one to turn to. You are the person in the business. You don't have team members. You don't have a manager. You don't have anybody who can take stuff off of your plate. But the other way that it can show up is not having someone to bounce ideas off, or not having what I like to call a business advisory board, those people that you go to ask specific business questions that will give you unbiased answers. Maybe it's a mentor, maybe it is a paid coach, maybe it's a strategist that you work with, but you need to have somebody that isn't necessarily your mom or your bestie or your partner who is just going to be what I like to call your cheerleader, and they're going to tell you that you'll figure it out and you'll get this done, you'll find the right person. No. You need somebody that can brainstorm with you. You need someone that you can dump your brain into and who will give you feedback that is actually helpful. Now, just to be clear here, I don't mean a Facebook group that you can just go and rant into or post your questions and get some feedback. I mean somebody who you feel confident in sharing your numbers. You feel confident in talking about your team members. You feel confident in talking about how you are behaving as a business owner. So you need to feel safe around this person, but you also need to respect them enough that the advice that they give you, you will take on board. Even if it is critical feedback, you have to go into it with an open mind. So if you don't have that someone to turn to, that is one of the warning signs that you're going to stay in this six-figure slump. And again, this is one of those things that is really quite easily to fix. Go and find yourself a friend, a mentor, another business owner that you can have these frank conversations with. All right, so my next warning sign, what number are we up to? We had, the first one was knowing which pillar to focus on. The second one was tracking your key metrics. The third one was having someone to turn to. Okay, so we're up to number 4. Your fourth warning sign that you are in a six-figure slump is that you don't have targets set. And by targets, I mean you don't have sales targets for your team. You don't have ROI targets when you're doing your marketing and advertising. You don't have revenue targets for your business. And you don't have inventory turnover targets. Those are just 4 targets that you should have in your business. And you probably have more when you sit down and think about it. But this kind of goes back to that second warning sign where I was saying that key metrics aren't tracked. Well, metrics are great, but you've got to have targets. And lots of business owners avoid targets because they're worried that it will scare their team, or they're worried about how they'll feel if they don't hit those targets. Now, targets are there for you to have a goal to work towards. They are not there to set your worth. You are not worth less if you don't hit those targets. The funny thing about targets is when you have them, you'll actually find that they are empowering. They give you that reason to go out and do that little bit more, to sell that little bit more, to chase up that customer who was asking about something or hasn't paid for their order. Don't let fear hold you back. Don't let the fear of not hitting those targets, because all that's going to happen is you staying in this safe, comfortable space. If you let fear control your business, you will never hit that next level. And I have to say, in all my years of not only owning my retail stores, but also in consulting, I've yet to find a business that went backwards because they put targets in place. No, all that happens is the business grows because everybody, from the person on your cash register to the person who's doing your marketing to the person who's looking after your website, they all have something to work towards, and that is empowering. So again, this is a simple fix. This is just you setting aside the time to step up and be the CEO in your business and put something on paper. Put some targets down and then communicate them with your team. If you've got a team, you need to let them know what those targets are. And when you do this, I am pretty sure that you are going to see great results. So the next thing that I was going to talk about, the next warning sign that I was going to talk about was going to be you don't run reports. But realistically, I feel like we kind of covered those in the metrics and the targets, because to know if you are hitting those things, you have to run reports. So I'm kind of going to gloss over that one and just say, if you're not running reports on your business, it's probably because you haven't set the targets, you haven't set the metrics. And once you do those things, you'll set the time aside to run those reports. So my fifth and final warning sign that you are stuck in the six-figure slump, And I've left this one to lucky last because I know that pretty much every person who is listening to this can probably put their hand up and say, oh, yep, that might be me. Is everything still needs your sign off? Oh yeah, I see you, control freak. And I'm putting my hand up because this is me too. I am pretty great at delegating, but it's taken me years and years of having to put myself out of my comfort zone and knowing that I have a great empowered team for me to step back and not have to sign everything off. Now, I still sign some stuff off, but not everything has to go through me anymore. And as we move our business forward, we are moving to some new software, which will automate a lot of the things that I currently do in the agency side of our business. This means it's going to free up a lot more of my time so I can create more courses, I can do more speaking, I can create more resources and more podcasts, and I can do the things that I love doing in the business rather than doing these mundane, tedious things that I'm doing just to stay in control. Because a great leader knows that they are not the pinnacle of the business. A great leader inspires their team to be the best that they can be and to do the best work that they can do. But honestly, a lot of this comes back to that one reoccurring theme throughout today's episode, which is fear. So many retail and e-commerce store owners fear relinquishing control. They fear that if they're not the person overseeing everything, then the business is not going to run the way that they want it to. But at some point, you have to accept that you cannot do everything. And the only way that you're going to grow is by trusting your team and by knowing that there are people out there who can do stuff way better than you can. I mean, Elizabeth writes way better newsletters than I do, and Fiona makes way better Klaviyo funnels than I do, and she does them so much faster. My strength in the business is seeing the big picture and breaking it down. That's why I call myself a retail strategist, not a retail coach or retail mentor. My job is to see the big picture and work out how we're going to get there. And then I have the people, my team, who get us there. But if I don't relinquish control and I don't let them do what they're great at, then the business stays stuck. So I want you to think about how you're showing up in your business. If you've got team members, are you empowering them? Are you letting them be autonomous? Are you letting them take control of the way that they work? Or are you micromanaging them? Are you putting post-it notes everywhere? Are you sending them email after email or telling them that they should have done it some other way? Are you spending hour after hour trying to write social media posts, but it just feels so draining? Anything like that in your business that drains you, you should not be doing. For somebody else, it is going to light them up. It is going to feel so easy, and they're going to be so thankful that they're getting paid to do it. I mean, for me, it's bookwork. I hate bookwork. But yet there are, bookkeeper and accountant nerds who love that stuff. They love balancing the ledgers. They love finding the bits and pieces that need to go together. It's not me. So I have a choice. I can pay somebody who really enjoys doing it and who can do it way better and way faster than I can. Or I can bog myself down. Well, I choose not to do that. I choose to give that job to somebody who will help me grow my business. So again, this is something that doesn't take any money. Looking at the way you show up in your business and the way that you communicate with your team and how you empower them and how you show up as a leader, that doesn't cost anything. That's just you doing some reflection and some inner work. You have to be so proud of the fact that you got the business this far. I mean, so many other businesses just fall by the wayside, but you've made it to here. You've made it to this point right here today. And with a few minor tweaks in your business, just stepping up and taking control of your business, not burying your head in the sand and saying you'll work on that tomorrow. When you step up and take control, that is when you see this exponential growth. And the great part is there is nothing stopping you from doing that right now. You can pull those earbuds out of your ears and you can start putting your metrics together. You can start running some reports. You can put those targets in place. You can do the quiz and work out which pillar you should be focusing on. You can go and talk to your team. But what I can guarantee you is if you continue to do the same things that got you to where you are right now, is really unlikely to get you to that 7-figure mark. But if you just make some changes, some really simple changes in your business, and you take control of your business rather than letting your business control you, then hitting 7 figures is going to be a heck of a lot closer, and it's not going to seem like an impossible dream anymore. Okay, thank you so much for joining me here on today's episode. As I mentioned, if you want to take that free quiz over at selinaknight.com/quiz to work out which of the 5 pillars of retail success you should be focusing on right now, head over to the website selinaknight.com/quiz. In just a couple of minutes and answering some very fun questions, you will uncover exactly what's holding you back, and you'll also get my free blueprint for retail success. I'll see you back here same time next week. Bye. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of the Bringing Business to Retail podcast. You can find all of the show notes over at selinaknight.com. If you found something that you heard today particularly useful, I'd love it if you could leave me a review on iTunes or Stitcher. And of course, feel free to share this episode with someone that you think could benefit by listening to it. Want more retail biz strategies? You can watch the Bringing Business to Retail TV show, where each week I'll answer a question or provide you with a simple, actionable retail biz strategy that you can implement in your business right away. If you have a question or a guest, I'd love to hear from you. Drop my team an email at podcast@selinaknight.com, and I'll see you on the next episode. Have a great week.